Given the chutes and ladders-esque sequence of events, it's easy for Israelis to forget just how they're ending up back at the ballot boxes for the fifth and possibly even the sixth time. Well, our story begins November 2018, 3 years into then Prime Minister Netanyahu's fourth term in office, when a botched Israeli operation in Gaza sparked 48 hours of fighting, ending finally with a ceasefire. Coalition partner Avigdor Lieberman, however, called the ceasefire a surrender to terror and resigned from the government, leaving Bibi with a slim 61-seat majority. Next, fast forward a couple months, and under pressure from the ultra-Orthodox parties over a bill to draft Haredim into the IDF, Netanyahu dissolved the Knesset and called for snap elections, which took place on April 9, 2019, 7 months earlier than scheduled. But now, under criminal investigation and pressure to pass the Haredi draft bills, Netanyahu, who had the principal mandate to form a coalition, could not muster the majority. And instead of giving the chance to rival Benny Gantz, the Knesset passed a bill to dissolve, plunging Israel into its first repeat vote, scheduled for September 2019. Now, after the second election, both Netanyahu and Gantz got their shot at forming a government. But after weeks of efforts, again, neither could succeed, and thus the third election was initiated. Jumping ahead to March 2, 2020 now, Israelis returning to the ballots for the third time in a year. But under the shadow of coronavirus, as well as pressures to resist partnerships with Netanyahu, who by then was under indictment for bribery, fraud, and breach of trust, Gantz and Netanyahu agree to form the first so-called rotational unity government, the idea being to lead the country safely through the pandemic, as well as to pass a national budget to address the growing economic crises gripping the country. And Gantz going back on his promises to resist sitting with Netanyahu in order to do so. Within months, however, Netanyahu seemingly backtracking on his power-sharing agreement with Gantz and also refusing to pass the budget for 2 years as stipulated in the coalition agreement. So the deadline to pass the budget passing in December 2020, and the coalition collapsed. And with that, the fourth election was called. So now we're in March 2021. The 11-day war, Operation Guardian of the Walls, with Hamas in Gaza has ended, and once again, Netanyahu's Likud is the largest party. But once again, it fails to muster a majority. It's at this time, with the second mandate to form a coalition, that Yair Lapid of the Yesh Atid party, the second largest party in Knesset now, announces that he has managed to gather a razor-thin majority. But his rotational power-sharing government agreement, including an Islamist party for the first time in Israel's history, as well as both right-wing and left-wing parties. Furthermore, the rotation would begin with Yamina party chair Naftali Bennett as prime minister, despite Bennett's Yamina being among the smallest parties in Knesset. Still, the government manages to pass a budget and ostensibly functions for a time. But less than a year in, the coalition's majority is lost due to defectors and resignations, and after Bennett decides to push for government dissolution, Lapid takes over as interim prime minister until fifth serial elections tomorrow, November 1st, 2022.
Hi everyone, it's Emmanuel Kadosh. I wanted to invite you all to subscribe to ILTV Plus, where you can find our daily news and updates about Israel. And not only that, but live feeds, entertainment, our kosher food show, and so much more. Needless to say, your subscription to ILTV Plus helps us grow and create more content while also supporting the state of Israel. Our app is available on all platforms and devices, so I'll see you guys there.